There is a mistake you are making right now. You can't see it because it doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like life. It feels like you. Every time your phone buzzes and your attention jumps to it. Every time someone's tone shifts and your chest tightens. Every time a single comment, a single look, a single thought hijacks your entire afternoon. You call it stress. You call it anxiety. You call it being sensitive, or being weak, or just being human. It is none of those things. It is one invisible mistake, repeated 1,000 times a day. And 400 years ago, a man who never lost a duel built his entire life around erasing it. His name will come. But first, you have to see the mistake clearly, because you have been blaming the wrong thing your whole life. Start with a question. Why is it that some people seem impossible to shake? You've met them, the one who stays calm while the room panics, the one who hears the insult and doesn't flinch, the one who decides something, and the world can throw everything at them, and they simply do not move. We assume they were born that way, cold, lucky, different. They were not. They trained one specific thing, and it is the exact thing you were never taught. Here is a lie you've been told, that your problem is a lack of willpower, that if you were just stronger, more disciplined, more motivated, you would stop reacting to everything. So you try to force it. You tell yourself to calm down. You clench your jaw and white knuckle your focus. And it works for about an hour until you're tired, because willpower always runs out. It abandons you at the exact moment the world pushes hardest. The samurai understood something we have forgotten. The problem was never the strength of your mind. The problem is that your mind stops. It stops on the buzz. It stops on the insult. It grabs the disturbance and holds on. And while it is holding on, it is not yours anymore. That grip, that stopping, is the invisible mistake. And you cannot fix a stopping mind with a stronger grip. You fix it by teaching the mind never to stop in the first place. There is even a reason your mind does this, and it isn't weakness. For most of human history, the mind that stopped on the sudden movement in the grass was the mind that survived. Stopping on the threat kept you alive, but you no longer live on that plane. You live in a world that has learned to manufacture that jolt on purpose, a world of infinite artificial threats, each one engineered to make your mind stop, so that someone else can hold it. The old reflex hasn't disappeared, it has been turned into a leash. The Japanese had a name for the mind that refuses that leash. They called it Fudōshin, the immovable mind. And immovable does not mean what you think. It does not mean a mind of stone. It does not mean feeling nothing. Fudōshin is named after Fudo, a deity of the old esoteric Buddhism, shown seated in the middle of a wall of flames, a sword in one hand, a coiled rope in the other, his face fierce and completely still. Fire everywhere, and he does not move, not because the fire isn't real, because he is not attached to it. That is the entire secret, and almost no one gets it right. The immovable mind is not the mind that feels no fear. It is the mind that feels the fear and does not grab it. The insult lands and passes through. The thought arrives and keeps moving. The disturbance is real, but the mind refuses to close its hand around it. Water doesn't fight the rock, and it doesn't cling to it either. It touches the rock and keeps flowing. We know exactly how the samurai trained this, because one of them wrote it down, or rather, a monk wrote it down for one of them. In the 17th century, a Zen master named Takuan Soho wrote a long letter to a swordsman. Not to a poet, not to a philosopher, to a swordsman, a man whose survival depended on getting this right. The letter is real and it survives to this day. In English, we call it the unfettered mind, and its subject is exactly the mistake we are talking about. Takuan warned the swordsman that the instant the mind stops on the opponent's blade, on his own fear, on a single stray thought, that is the instant he is already lost. Wherever the mind stops, he said, is the place where you are cut. Sit with that. because it is 400 years old and it describes your Tuesday afternoon perfectly. Wherever your mind stops, you are cut. It stops on the notification, you lose the hour. It stops on the criticism, you lose the day. It stops on the memory at 2 in the morning, you lose the night. A monk was teaching a warrior how to survive a duel. He was also, without knowing it, teaching you how to survive the modern world. Which brings us, finally, to the man who lived it. Miyamoto Musashi fought around 60 duels and lost none of them, and he did not win them with a faster sword. He won them with a stiller mind. The most famous of those dare